How long have you been running this?
We've been here 7 years and we've been running it slightly less than that. I think about 5 years. There we go. So this is the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Finally, who are we? What do we do? With the Shoebox, we are a social enterprise. We believe in profit for purpose, relevant to all of you because the money you paid for your tickets goes back into the community projects that we run and house here and elsewhere. So you've done a nice thing today. This was Pond's Shoe Shop. James Pond started the shop in 1861 and it did not close its doors until 2013. So really long-standing, well-respected business in the city. We have a photo of it just here. This is Pond's in the 50s. So you can see the kind of place that it was. It's very classy, it's very high-end, it's very expensive. You can tell that by the way the shop is decked out, but I prefer to look at the people. You've got men serving in suits and ties. You've got this woman over here shopping in her massive fur coat. That's the kind of clientele Pond was attracting in its heyday. Pond was also quite high-tech for its day. There was a machine in here called a pedoscope. It looked like this. Put your feet in there, hold them still for 3 or 4 minutes, and something would come out that looked like this. So you can see the difference between a very well and a very badly fitting pair of shoes. So you'd walk out of here with a perfect pair of shoes and a tiny dose of radiation. Weaving industry in Norwich was massive. We were famous for weaving all the way up to the 1800s. We invite over some families from the Spanish Netherlands. That is now sort of roughly modern day Belgium, Luxembourg area. Reason we do that, they're known as very skilled weavers. Reason why they agree to come over, they're Protestants and they're being burnt at the stake. Those people get referred to as the strangers. So you may have seen across the city Strangers Hall, Strangers Club, Strangers Tavern, my favourite, Strangers Coffee. Now you'll know who that's referring to. The strangers also brought over canaries, so they're the main reason Norwich City has their mascot. Now we're going to divert your attention to the window behind you. This is called a weaver's window. The reason why it's shaped longwise like that is to allow in as much natural light as possible into the room. Where we are is also opposite the castle and the mound. They are just over there. In order to explain why we have a medieval street in our basement, you have to go all the way back to the construction of the castle and the mound. So take yourselves back to 1067. We can all remember it fondly. Norman conquests arrive in Norwich. They invade. They like what they see. There's even a bit of higher ground that's perfect to build the castle on top of, that they need to defend what they've just invaded. They would like a part of that higher ground, though, to be higher. Also, the Saxons have been here since the mid-5th century. Their homes are all in the way. So the Normans destroy 98 Saxon homes. They then force the people whose homes they've just destroyed to dig a ditch around a piece of the higher ground. This ditch is 20 metres wide and 8 metres deep. You know, using shovels, using spades. They put all of the stuff from the ditch on top of the hill to make it bigger, to make it into the mound. Build the castle first in wood, then in stone on top of that. That takes them from 1067 to 1121. Awful lot of labour. Total waste of time. From 1121 to 1345, only a few people ever come to stay at the castle. Biggest time it ever sees any action, just after it's built, 1121, King Henry I has a massive Christmas do up there. So big they have to build an extra 3 breweries to keep up with all the Christmas boozing. Fast forward, 1345. King Edward III visits the city, takes one look at the castle. It's a mess, he doesn't want it. He sells it to the county. So from then on, the castle and the mound belong to the county. The ditch by then, the big 20 metre wide, 8 metre deep ditch, fine, filled to the brim with sewage. Any offers? Anyone going to buy a sewage-filled ditch from the king? No, probably not. So he gifts it to the people of the city. Oh, isn't it? 1300s, 1400s Norwich. We're the second city to London. We are very rich, very prosperous. So rich and prosperous that the movable wealth of one cloth merchant in the city was worth 3 times more than the average wealth of an entire city at the time. Getting your bearings. We've already pointed out the weaver's window's up there. That's the window you were looking out of. Standing in the path of the street. In the ditch. Either side of you, you've got buildings. The path continued through the wall and through the door. They don't exist, they're not there. Ignore them. I've closed the door. Carved in, you've got pond there, yeah, and up there, HJP, Herbert Joseph Pond, James Pond's son, who you saw upstairs. He'd have carved that in the late 1800s. Just take a second to think about when the trees were planted that these beams came from. You're talking 1400s, maybe even 1300s. And before this concrete over here was poured in fairly recently, that beam, that old, was the main support for 4 stories above you. People at ponds love a myth, love a legend. According to them, that is a dungeon. According to them, this is a secret tunnel to the castle. Ooh. It's a barrel-vaulted undercroft. Undercrofts were storage spaces underneath the houses of merchants. We would love to clear that rubble, not only to give you a better idea of the space, but also to see what could be hiding in the rocks and rubble in the 1500 structure. But we can't, because that will be an archaeological dig. reputation of the street. Never really lost the fact that it used to be a sewage-filled ditch, I don't think. Always dark, always dingy, because you were shaded by that huge mound that side. That only gets worse as the buildings multiply and get taller either side. So it's even darker, it's even dingier. You had the Norwich Red Light District not far away. You had Opie Street. Opie Street now, lovely, named after immediate Opie, little gelato place, great. Used to be called Devil's Alley. And before it was called Devil's Alley, it was called something even worse. I can't repeat the name, I'll get the sack. What you Google in your own time is on you. We go from being a defensive ditch around the castle, to being a sewage-filled ditch around the castle, to being a street open to the sky, to a shoe storage basement, to an air raid shelter, to a place where we run tours and have an escape game. Can you imagine telling the people of the 1400s their street would go through all of that? A story to tell you. I mentioned hangings happening at the castle earlier. Now, hangings back in the day were public entertainment. You could buy tiny bits of last week's noose as a souvenir if you wanted to, or little figurines of the person being hanged even, which is grim, but I don't think we've changed. When someone commits a heinous crime nowadays, how many people will you hear say they should bring back hanging? They should bring back hanging for them. There's still people who say that. And when you scroll on Netflix of an evening, how much of what you can watch is true crime? So, for better or for worse, a strange fascination for crime and punishment and gore has always and will always exist in our psyches. I'm telling you that now because I'm about to tell you the story of one of the most well-attended hangings in the city, and I don't want you to get caught up on the fact that it was well-attended. In 1847, James Blomfield Rush was hanged at the castle just up there. The reason his hanging was so well-attended was because he was an idiot. 1847, James couldn't pay his rent. That doesn't make him an idiot. But when I couldn't pay my rent in London, I moved to Norwich. When James couldn't pay his rent, he decided to kill his landlord. Which still doesn't make him an idiot. Cost of living's going up, I can see how you'd be tempted. But James's landlord is no ordinary landlord. He's very well respected. His name is Isaac Jermy. He's the town recorder of the city. He's not someone you want to go killing in your spare time. James planned his murder at the pub, a place where all rational thinking is done. Huh? Not the murderers. The Adam and Eve. But the murderess does have a lot of stories attached to it. Adam and Eve pub. Sits there, has a few pints, decides it's a great idea. Leaves the pub, gets a disguise, puts it on him. Grabs his gun. Heads to Stanfield Hall where Isaac lives for 9 because he knows Isaac is going out around then. Just as he expects to happen, 9 o'clock on the dot, Isaac opens the door, steps out, and James shoots him down dead on the doorstep. James, though, in his plan, hasn't accounted for the fact that there might be other people in the building. So on hearing the commotion, Isaac Jermy's adult son, Isaac Jermy, for reasons I know not, comes running to the door. Not wanting an eyewitness, James shoots him down too. Also in the building is Isaac Jermy's wife Frances and a housemaid. So James fires off 2 more shots. Horrible man. Horrible man. Let's just take stock, put ourselves into James's shoes. Imagine we think it's just the ghosts. Imagine we think just killed 4 people. What's the next course of action? Run. Yeah. Anything else? Throw your gun away. Great. Anything else?
Check their pockets for cash.
Check the pockets for cash.
While you're at it, get some lunch on the way home.
2 minutes. Amazing. I
It's
love
all
it.
coming out now.
So we're revealing the store. Yeah, crime 101. Get washed. Great. Amazing. Perfect. Fantastic murderers on the tour group today.
Check the house for any more people.
Check the house for any more people, yeah. All great decisions. I'm assuming that none of us are actually cold-blooded killers. You never know, but...
Well, there's this one time. I know what scared you.
There is a modicum of common sense that goes along with killing a person, even if you've never done it before. James does not do any of those things you've just suggested. James goes back to the pub for a victory pint. And before he leaves the pub, he doesn't check everyone's dead. So unbeknownst to him, he's left alive 2 eyewitnesses in the form of Isaac Jermy's wife and the housemaid. Police arrive, take the statements for the 2 women, do just a little asking around. And where do you think they go looking for James?
In the pub.
In the pub where he was last seen, where he's still sat sipping on a pint, gun in disguise on his person. He's arrested, the case goes to trial. Trial lasts forever. 14 hours in, the housemaid comes to the stand. She says very clearly, with no compunction, I can't believe you're trying to tell me that you didn't kill Isaac and his son. I see you all the time. I know for a fact it was you. To which 14 hours in, without thinking, our man James replies, well, you can't have seen me because I ran away so fast. And really, this man hangs himself. But this case is massive. You've got attempted quadruple murder, actual double murder of 2 high-profile figures. You've got the fact that he was an idiot. You've got an admission of guilt in court. And then the little cherry on the top is that he's been having an affair with his children's governess. So scandalous, Charles Dickens comes to Norwich. He reports on the case. He stays at the Bell Hotel in order to do so. And it's estimated between 20 and 40,000 people flock on special trains that were put on to Norwich to watch this man being hanged. Just up there at the castle. So in 1849, where we all are stood, was heaving full of people. If not trying to crane their necks and see, soaking in the general jovial atmosphere of the hanging day. People are going to the pub, they are having a skinful, they are stumbling out, they need a wee, and they are going for their wees in dark corners like this one. The problem with that is that their very, very urine is crumbling the foundations of the older buildings. So we build these because as soon as you go for a wee against one, what happens? There you go, it splashes back at you. Which they thought would be a deterrent, is it? No. Why?
Because you're
Too drunk? There you go. Plus, you can just go either side, or some men on the tour have suggested you could aim up. You can see these all across the city, all across the UK, all over the old buildings, and I hope next time you see one you'll think of me. When they moved the people from the yards, they moved them to council houses, which was an incredible change. Imagine going from having a toilet that's a bucket outdoors between 30 to having a toilet indoors that flushes between your family. When they moved the people from the yards to the houses, they tore apart communities that in some cases had existed for generations. This happened with the slum clearances across the UK. They split people up from communities that they built up over generations, all kind of just after the First World War, during the Second World War, and after the Second World War, when you really could have used those communities at that time. Elm Hill has been voted one of the prettiest streets in England. There was a vote as to whether we should destroy it. The vote swung towards keeping Elm Hill by 1. But if walls could talk, they'd have so much to say about the lives lived in the space. And had the councils not done a number on us, it could look like Elm Hill. It's from the same era. There's a stretch of flint-knack wall behind me. One final thing about the yards before we move off down the alley. Reading the first-hand accounts of them is amazing because whilst they were rough, you get a sense of that community. And they're funny and they're full of life. There's this one from a woman who grew up in the yard. She talks about her mum being obsessed with the doorstep. Doorstep, scrubbed clean, painted red every Monday morning. There's not a lot you can control about your house literally crumbling down around you. There's not a lot you can control even about the inside of your house if you've got next to no money. But you can make sure that the first thing people see, your doorstep, is clean and respectable to show what kind of person you were. But this woman took it to the next level and none of her kids were allowed to step on the doorstep. They had to jump from the outside to the inside. We're going to head off down the alley now. On the left, near the door, there's a sign which marks when all this stopped being open to the public. And there is a big step, so watch your step. So here, we're on London Street. This was the first pedestrianised shopping area in the UK. It worked so well, they then moved it across everywhere else. We are at the back of the ditch here, and just as I said, you're not faced with an uphill slope to the other side. It goes downhill, because we know now we took out the back of the ditch. All the back of the ditch never existed. Now, when you go into Boots, Harriet's, Tea Room, Waterstones, it all makes sense. If you want to go back to the Shoebox, it's up there, right up Opie Street, right again. If you want to laugh, look up what Opie Street used to be called. If you enjoyed the tour, we live and die by TripAdvisor and Google reviews. You can mention my name, it's good library. If you did not like the tour, this never happened, I don't think. Any questions before I let you go? Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you very much.